For 2.5 years, she's dedicated her career to getting justice for the families of Madison, Tate, Hannah, and Justin.
Thousands of hours of research and preparation, culminating in 3 convictions and ultimately changing the way criminal charges could be filed in mass shootings. And while some might think the Oakland County prosecutor's work is done, Karen McDonald's message is clear. The job is far from over.
Tonight, she's invited our Karen Drew into her home to talk about these groundbreaking cases and whether or not she's considering criminal charges against Oxford school officials.
All right, thank you very much, guys. We're joined now by Karen McDonald. I'm going to start with that very first question because I know there's a lot of people thinking about what is next. Oxford school officials, are you considering any charges?
No, if there were criminal charges being considered, that would have been announced a long time ago. I'm not looking through a lens of criminal culpability with the school. I do stand with the parents and many of the Oxford parents and community that want complete transparency, and they want more information, and they want some of the things that were addressed by the guidepost report to change. And they have a right to do that. I think that it's standard practice when something like this happens.
Let's go back 2.5 years. You've been working on this right away. I remember when you first had your first press conference, you said, you know, these parents are going to be held accountable. And I think there were many in the legal community that kind of gasped around the country and said, this has never been done.
Yes.
Why were you adamant that they needed, obviously, to be charged and you could get a guilty verdict? What made this case so special?
You know, the facts of this case at the very beginning were revealed to me in my office exactly as the same way the rest of the country experienced. We were not in touch with law enforcement until they presented the case. And so, like many people, we first discovered the Instagram post, boasting about purchasing this gun, calling it his gun. That was troubling, and that led to more and more questions. And then the information presented about, you know, the meeting at the school, what was drawn on the school, drawn on the paper, and then that led to even more questions. And yes, I never faltered on this is not right, and they didn't pull the trigger. But you're a mom,
right?
I'm a mom. I mean, really, I don't even have a prosecutor hat to say, where did he get a gun and how did he get it? Everyone wants to know this. And those answers were revealed just complete and utter just neglect and lack of regard for all the other kids in that school and their own son. And
they never spoke up in the meeting. I mean, there was that opportunity that there could have been something like, okay, there is a gun in our home, and that was never shared.
I mean, there were so many things that could have been done, and I think that the evidence showed that. But look, you know, for 2.5 years, most of that time, there was a gag order in this case, which actually was a little relieving, comforting to us, because it's easier just to focus on your case. But, you know, a lot of the scrutiny applied was a result of not really hearing the evidence. You don't hear the evidence until we go to trial.
And that's what brings me to this. I know there was a moment with the gun lock that we saw. I thought a lot of people thought that was a very important moment, and we've got video of that in terms of when that was presented. It was 10 seconds. It didn't take long to lock up that gun.
By someone like me. You know, I'm a prosecutor, but we aren't law enforcement. We don't go investigate crimes. We don't carry guns. I'm also a mom, and you don't have to have a high level of expertise to use a cable lock. And that was just one way of securing a weapon, but that was the easiest way, and it was given to them.
That was a significant moment in the case. Was there another one that hit you where you were in front of the jury and thought, you know what, I think they're hearing me, they're getting this? Was there a moment like that for you?
I don't predict what juries are going to do. I don't think anybody smart does that because it's just not clear. But look, all through this, when people would, you know, offer legal commentary or scrutiny about what this could mean, you know, later for parents, and the reality is, it doesn't send any message to any parent, because most parents don't need that message. Most parents don't need the message that you shouldn't be grossly negligent and you shouldn't arm your kid and give free access to a deadly weapon when there are so many signs, even that day, that something is wrong. Most of us do not need that message. But do I think maybe more people will start asking the question?
Yes.
And not just then dismissing that there is some culpability in certain circumstances for the person who allowed access to this weapon. I think not even just in the criminal justice system, but in the lens of gun violence prevention, we all need to ask that question.
A landmark case. We've got a little bit of time left. I think other prosecutor offices around the country are looking at this, don't you?
I hope they're asking questions, and I hope that they're persistent in getting the answers. But I certainly don't think or hope that we are now going to hold parents responsible for what their kids do.
Right.
This is more about, you know, here's what I want to say. Everyone says about why you charge, but let me ask you something. What if I hadn't?
Right. And look at this. We're looking at the video. We talk about the system, and you're part of the system. And I was talking to you earlier. This is the. Talk to me about what you thought about hugging those parents at the end.
This just seems so very intuitive and natural to me. When that verdict finally comes in, the most important people in the courtroom don't have a voice because they were killed.
Yeah.
And so their parents are there. And that is who, those parents are the people I think about. Yeah. And they were the first people I wanted to see when that verdict came in. Good or bad, right. I would have done the same thing. Right. I can't take away the pain and the suffering.
No, you can't.
But I wanted them to know that they mattered. Their kids mattered.
Yeah, they did.
And they matter. Yeah.
Your work mattered. We appreciate you, your time. I know it's been a very, very long 2.5 years and a long day.
I didn't do it by myself. Mark Keast was the lead attorney, and he did an outstanding job. And a whole team of people in my office who were standing in line to help. So
we thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We will send it back to you guys.
Okay, Karen, thank you. And if you missed any of that interview, we're going to post it in full to our special section on clickondetroit.com. Just scan that QR code to get there, and you can also find a link right on the home page.